Welcome friends, as we have discussed in our last lecture, today we will solve one difficult numerical which seems to be difficult but is simple, which was asked in winter 2017 examination in Rashtrasanta Tukadoji Maharaj Nagpur University, and the example looks like this: a frame which is having overhanging portions on both the sides. Overhanging portion on both the sides. This frame is loaded with a moment. Now friends, what is moment loading? If there is some rotating part which is installed at the center of the beam, and if that rotating part, like a helicopter blade, okay, helicopter blade will not be rotated. Let's say that windmill is installed at the slab of your house, and if it is continuously rotating, it will have some moment effect on this particular slab. So this is loaded with 20 kilonewton meter moment. Let us say that windmill shaft is creating 20 kilonewton meter moment at this. Then at this overhang is 15 kilonewton load, and this is loaded with 10 kilonewton per meter. This is 4 meters. This is 4 meters. This length is 1.5 meter. This length is 2 meters, and the moment is acting at the center, which is 1.5 meters and 1.5 meters. Let us say we name it A, B, C, D. This portion I will name it as E. This portion I will name it as F. And it is asked, analyze the structure by stiffness method, neglect axial deformations. So this is the question before us. Winter 2017, overhanging portion BE and CF on both the sides of the slab. Okay, this is the common question, and this is the common structure we come across, and we need to analyze it. Now it looks very difficult at present, but I will tell you the key. If you apply the key, it becomes very simple. Generally, our first step to analyze is finding out degree of kinematic indeterminacy. Now if we look at the degree of kinematic indeterminacy of the original structure, now my friends, what is degree of kinematic indeterminacy of the original structure? Let us find out what is degree of freedom first. Degree of freedom for the original structure: this joint is free, so 1, 2, 3 degree of freedom. This joint is free, 1, 2, 3. This joint is free, 1, 2, 3, and this joint is free, 1, 2, 3. So degree of freedom for the structure is 12, but we know we can cancel non-possible degrees of freedom. Degree of freedom for the structure is 12. We can cancel non-possible degrees of freedom. So this deflection is equal to this deflection is equal to this deflection is equal to this deflection. Because we are neglecting axial deformation, we can consider all the 4 deflections as same. So this is, I can cancel these 3 deflections, only 1 deflection is left. Now since the column will not yield, column will not settle down, this is not possible. Column will not settle down, this is not possible. So these 2 we can neglect. Others possible. So still degree of kinematic indeterminacy of the original structure is equal to 3 plus 1, 4, 5 plus 2, 7. 7 degree of kinematic indeterminacy. This means we are going to solve 7 by 7 matrix. No, not at all, not at all. Don't be afraid. Degree of kinematic indeterminacy 7. Students must be tempted to write in the examination, since degree of kinematic indeterminacy is equal to 7, we cannot solve the numerical, because our syllabus mentions that maximum degree of kinematic indeterminacy is equal to 3. So this may be the temptation for you to write. But friends, it is not the case. It is not the case. This can be simplified like this. Look at this. This is the original structure. Now look at this. I will write the step 1. Instead of finding degree of kinematic indeterminacy, if it's an overhanging structure, step 1 is equivalent structure. I will draw an equivalent structure, and degree of kinematic indeterminacy will reduce considerably. Degree of kinematic indeterminacy will reduce considerably if I draw the equivalent structure. Now what is the equivalent structure? I am drawing AB. I am just taking the effect of overhang on the beam. I am just drawing ABCD, and it is loaded with 20 kilonewton meter moment at the center of BC, which is 1.5 meters and 1.5 meters. This I know. I am cancelling the overhanging portion, and I will consider the moment effect. So what is the moment of this 15 at B? It is 15 into 1.5, that is 22.5 kilonewton meter. This moment is acting at B. I am considering the moment of this 15 kilonewton acting at B. So I am cancelling the effect BE. I am cancelling the effect BE by considering the moment of this EB acting at B. So this is the moment. Now what is the moment of this 10 CF portion? 10 into 2 into 1, that is 20, and it is acting in a clockwise fashion. 10 into 2 into 1, it is acting in a clockwise fashion. So this is 20 kilonewton meter clockwise moment acting at C. So I have just cancelled the overhanging portion BE and CF by considering the moments acting at B and by considering the moment acting at C. This 15 into 1.5, that is acting anti-clockwise at B, and this 10 into 2 into 1, that is acting clockwise at C. So this is the equivalent structure. Now my step 2 is to determine degree of kinematic indeterminacy of the structure. My step 2 is to determine degree of kinematic indeterminacy for this particular structure ABCD. Now my work has reduced considerably. First I will find degree of freedom, and then I will find degree of kinematic indeterminacy. For A, there is no degree of freedom because it is fixed. For B, degree of freedom is 3. For C, degree of freedom is 3. So my degree of freedom in my original structure was 12. My degree of freedom in my original structure was 12. Now which has reduced in my equivalent structure is equal to 6. My degree of freedom was 6. Now I will cancel non-possible degree of freedom. Since BA cannot move down, I will cancel this. Since CD cannot move down, I will cancel this. Since deflection at B is equal to deflection at C, because there is no axial deformation of BC. BC is the beam, there is no axial deformation of beam BC. So deflection at B is equal to deflection at C. So instead of considering both, I will consider only one. So degree of kinematic indeterminacy for this structure reduces to 3. Degree of kinematic indeterminacy for the structure reduces to 3. And what is that? Theta B, theta C, and third degree is delta B, that is equal to delta C. I will number it as 1. Theta B as 1, theta C as 2. Look at this. Theta B I have assumed anti-clockwise. Last time Aditya has asked me how we should consider this. Now I will consider it anti-clockwise. So I will derive everything with respect to the assumed coordinate. This is my coordinate 2 and my coordinate 3 is delta B, that is equal to delta C. Don't forget this. Delta B is equal to delta C. Deflection at B and deflection at C are same, and that is why I have considered them as single coordinate number 3. So theta B, theta C and delta C. These are the degrees of kinematic indeterminacy for the equivalent structure. So this was the original structure. I have converted this structure into an equivalent structure. This 15 into 1.5, 22.5 kilonewton meter and acting anti-clockwise at B, and this 10 into 2 into 1, that is 20 kilonewton meter, is the moment at C. Now this problem has become too much simplified. Now our next step, that is step 3 in this case. Earlier it is step 2, now it is step 3, is determination of fixed end moments. Step 3 is determination of fixed end moments. Step 3 is determination of fixed end moments. Now my friends, look at this structure. Look at my equivalent structure. This is my equivalent structure. Is there any load acting on the member AB? Is there any load? No. This is 22.5 kilonewton meter is the load acting at the joint. This 20 kilonewton meter load is acting at the joint, but there is no load acting on the member, and we have seen that fixed end moments can be calculated only for the loads which are acting on the members. So MF AB, fixed end moment AB, is equal to MF BA is equal to 0. Why 0? Because there is no load acting on the member AB. This load is acting at the joint, so that's why that cannot be considered as fixed end moment. So fixed end moment AB and fixed end moment BA both are 0. Same is the case with CD. Fixed end moment CD and fixed end moment DC is equal to 0. This 20 kilonewton meter load is acting at the joint C, and this load cannot be considered in fixed end moment. Remember, fixed end moments are considered only for the loads which are acting on the structure. So I will write MFCD is equal to MFDC is equal to 0, right? So fixed end moments I have calculated. Now what is the fixed end moment of BC? Again, BC, this is 20 kilonewton meter load which is acting at center of BC, 1.5 meter and 1.5 meter. This is B, this is C. 20 kilonewton meter is acting at the center. Now these 22.5 kilonewton meter and 20 kilonewton meter we need not consider for fixed end moments, because these are the loads acting at the joints, and whenever the loads are acting at the joints we don't consider them for fixed end moment. So what are the fixed end moment? The simple formula for fixed end moment: when the moment is acting at the center, the fixed end moment is m/4, whatever is the length, and the direction of the fixed end moments are same as that of the acting moment. If the acting moment is anti-clockwise, both the fixed end moments will be anti-clockwise. If the acting moment is clockwise, both the fixed end moments will be clockwise, and the value of the moment will always be m, that is moment, divided by 4. Despite of the length, it doesn't have anything to do with the length. So it is m/4, that is 20/4, and that is 20/4, and both the directions will be anti-clockwise. In all our earlier cases, one of the directions used to be anti-clockwise, other used to be clockwise for all UDLs, for all triangular loads, for all point loads and all these things. But for moment load, remember, whenever it is acting at the center of the beam, the value is m/4. Whatever is the length, let it be 3 meter, let it be 5 meter, let it be 6 meter, the value is m/4, and the directions of both the fixed end moments is the direction of the central moment. So that is 5 kilonewton meter and 5 kilonewton meter. These are the fixed end moments acting on BC and CB. So I am writing MFBC, fixed end moment BC is equal to 5 kilonewton meter. I will write it as anti-clockwise, and fixed end moment CB is also equal to 5 kilonewton meter acting anti-clockwise. Both are acting anti-clockwise because the central moment is acting anti-clockwise. Now my friends, I need to write the fixed end moment matrix, because I am solving this by direct stiffness method. So I have just calculated the fixed end moment. Now I will write this fixed end moment matrix. I am again drawing this structure. So my fixed end moment is 5 kilonewton meter, and this is again anti-clockwise 5 kilonewton meter. Now my coordinates are, coordinate 1 is this, my coordinate 1 is this, my coordinate 2 is this, and my coordinate 3 is this. Okay, so I am writing the fixed end moment matrix, FEM matrix or FEM vector rather. My FEM vector, fixed end moment vector. What is the fixed end moment acting at coordinate 1? It is 5. Are the directions same? Yes, both the directions coincide. What is the fixed end moment acting at coordinate 2? It is 5. Are the directions same? Yes, both the directions same. And is there any reaction acting? Yes, friends, I agree. There will be reaction in the portion BC. There will be some reaction which I have not calculated. There will be some reaction in the portion BC. But is it corresponding to this coordinate 3? No. Since there is no moment in the portion AB and no moment in the portion CD, there is no reaction for the portion AB and CD, and that is why there is no reaction acting at coordinate 3. So FEM3 is equal to 0. So my FEM matrix is equal to 5, 5, 0. So I have calculated the fixed end moment and I have calculated the fixed end moment matrix. I hope you have understood. Now my next step is to derive the, that is step number 4 is to derive the stiffness matrix for the structure as a whole. This is direct method. I will derive the stiffness matrix for the structure as a whole. So step 4 is stiffness matrix, generation of stiffness matrix. Generation of stiffness matrix. Generation of stiffness matrix as a whole. So to generate the first column of stiffness matrix, I need to apply unit deflection at coordinate 1. Apply unit deflection at coordinate 1. Apply unit deflection at coordinate 1. Yes, apply unit deflection at coordinate 1. Now my friend, where is my coordinate 1? I will just look at this. My coordinate 1 is like this. My coordinate 1 is anti-clockwise at B. So I am applying anti-clockwise unit deflection at B. I am applying anti-clockwise unit deflection at B. I am separating these three, AB, BC and CD. This is A, B, B, C, C, D. I am applying anti-clockwise unit deflection at B. Since B is connected by BA and BC, at both the cases it will be anti-clockwise. So this should be the tangent direction. This means this will be my deflected shape. If this is the tangent direction, this is anti-clockwise deflection, then this is my deflected shape. This is theta B is equal to 1. This is theta B is equal to 1. Since I am applying theta B, and theta B is both the members BA and BC will be affected. Now look at this structure, BA and BC. Now I am writing what are the moments generated in the portion BA. If you remember, this is our rotational stiffness diagram. The first moment is 4 EI by 4. EI is EI for the portion, I is I. Yes, I have forgotten, this is I, this is 2I and this is I. Okay, AB is I, BC is 2I and again CD is I. So this is AB. So 4 into I is I, 4 into EI by 4. At A there will be 2 into EI by 4. Length of AB is 4. Length of AB is 4 meters. So 2 into EI by 4. These are the moments. Now what is for BC? Yes, for BC it will be 4 into 2 EI, because I is 2 EI by 3, and at C it will be 2 into 2 EI by 3. Moment will be anti-clockwise at B, 4 into 2 EI by 3, at C 2 into 2 EI by 3. Now my friends, here I need to consider the reactions. I need to consider the reactions at least in the portion AB. Now I know there are two moments and two reactions. If these two moments are rotating the beam in anti-clockwise direction, there must be two forces which are rotating the beam in clockwise direction. Opposite, if these two moments are rotating the anti-clockwise direction, there will be some forces which are rotating in clockwise direction, and the value of the force is 6 EI. EI is EI by L square. This is 6 EI. EI is EI by L square. 6 EI by 16. 6 EI by 16. Similarly, there will be forces in the portion BC like this, but I will not consider those forces because there is no coordinate which is corresponding to these forces which are acting perpendicular to BC. I hope you are getting my point. But first time I have considered the forces, these reactions acting in the portion AB, because I know there is a coordinate which is corresponding to this direction. There is a coordinate which is corresponding to this direction. So again, I am applying unit deflection at coordinate 1. My coordinate 1 is anti-clockwise rotation at B. So I have applied theta B is equal to 1. Theta B is equal to 1. And both the members are affected. BA and BC, both the members are affected. I have applied anti-clockwise rotation. The moments will be 4 EI by 4, 2 EI by 4, 4 into 2 EI by 3, length is 3, 2 into 2 EI by 3. But there will be some reactions which I have considered. If these two are rotating in anti-clockwise direction, there will be some forces rotating in clockwise direction of the magnitude 6 EI by 16 and 6 EI by 16. I have not considered the reactions in the portion BC because I know there is no coordinate in the portion BC which is acting in the direction of the reactions. Now can I write the first column of stiffness matrix? Yes, I am in a position to write first column of stiffness matrix K11, that is force at coordinate 1 due to unit deflection at coordinate 1. Now where is my coordinate 1? My coordinate 1 is rotation. My coordinate 1 is rotation at B. My coordinate 1 is rotation at B. This is the equivalent structure. My coordinate 1 is anti-clockwise rotation at B. So what is the anti-clockwise force at B? It is 4 EI by 4 plus 8 EI by 3. 4 EI by 4 plus 8 EI by 3. Both are acting in anti-clockwise direction and both are moments which are acting at coordinate 1. So K11. So that comes out to be 4 EI by 4 plus 8 EI by 3. That comes out to be 3.67 EI. Now what is K21? K21 is force at coordinate 2. Where is my coordinate 2? Coordinate 2 is anti-clockwise at C. So what is the anti-clockwise moment at C? It is 4 EI by 3, and that comes out to be 1.33 EI. And what is K31? Now my friends, pay attention. This is the first time we are coming across it. K31, force at coordinate 3. Now where is coordinate 3? Coordinate 3 is either delta B, that is deflection at B, or deflection at C. So what is the force at B? In the direction coordinate 3 I have assumed acting towards right. So this is the force acting in the direction of the coordinate 3 I have assumed acting towards right. So this is the force which is acting in the direction of the coordinate 6 EI by 16, and that is 0.375 EI. My friends, this is K31. K11 is both these, K21 is this, and K31 is this. This is my coordinate 1, this is my coordinate 2, and this or this is my coordinate 3. That is my K11 is 4 EI by 4 plus 8 EI by 3, that is 3.67 EI. K21 is 4 EI by 3, and K31 is this reaction. That is why I have calculated reaction for the first time in our discussion, that is 6 EI by 16, that is 0.375 EI. In our next discussion, we will discuss our coordinate 2, applying unit deflection at coordinate 2.